You might think you have what it takes to enter the danger zone. That is Kyle Field, Brady Cook, Mizzou Tigers, LSU, Texas, New Mexico. You're not flying into the danger zone without going through the Maroon Goons, baby. I had to rock the oldie, man. The last time I wore this shirt was the 2020 Orange Bowl. Because that's the year the Maroon Goons were born. I think the phrase was coined that year. And Barstool made a shirt. And I have not been able to wear it for about 3 years. I've wanted to. It's been sitting in my closet. It's not gone to Goodwill. It's not gone into the nowhere pile. It's not gone to the fiance's repertoire of my clothes. It's mine. And I've been saving it for the right occasion. And guess what, baby? This is a team that's built in the trenches. Advantage every game so far for A&M in the trenches. I wanted to start with that because, I mean, damn. This O-line was not a strength. A lot of the same cats the last couple of years. Every single game this year. O-line's been beastin'. Every single game this year. D-line has either been dictating the opponent's game plan or straight up dominating the game like versus Arkansas and Missouri. How's that win sitting in for you guys? Is it feeling pretty good? Obviously, we're trying not to get too high or too low. We're trying not to say the season's done, only 6 games in. We're not trying to provide too much rat poison. But how can you not analyze that game as a major, major success? As a major, major turn to the right direction or continuation, acceleration into the right direction. I mean, I am trying right now, guys. I mean, how long has it been? How long has it been since we've, as observers, watched Aggie football and absolutely been excited and confident about what happens next? We saw progression game to game, and it wasn't perfect game to game, but we saw improvements. One position group one game, one position group the next game. They hadn't put it all together. But by the midpoint of the season, in the perfect opportunity to do so, Elko gets the guys ready to go. Tommy Moffitt, Adam Cushing, Jay Bateman, 2 of which we heard from today, which was nice to hear in the pressers. If you didn't hear, the coordinator's got a press conference call today. Awesome stuff. But how long has it been since A&M football just right the ship in the middle of a season, early on, in a way that actually instills confidence? Because it wasn't just one game, like I said. It's been a progression, an advancement, a maturity, if you will, a growth. I mean, they imposed their will from start to finish in that game, man. And we're riding that high, and I couldn't be more happy to be here with you guys. It's a call-in show. I want to hear from you guys tonight. I've talked a lot over the last 3-4 days. I think this is my 4th show in 3 days. So I'm really going to give you guys the floor tonight. I don't have a lot of notes to go through. Just a couple things I want to look at before we get into the calls. The call-in link is pinned in the chat. I saw someone in there earlier. The waiting room is now empty. If anybody wants to get on a call, now is the great time to jump in. And guys, if you haven't called in before, don't be shy. You can be on, ask one question, and then get right off. You can get on, make one point, get right off. You can get on and just, talk your shit. Say it with your chest. This is the time to do it. If you want to call in, today's a great day to do it. I couldn't be more happy to be with you guys, and it feels so good to talk Aggie football right now, man. Are you guys just burning through the Aggie content right now? I mean, I'm listening to like 80 subscriber channels about Aggie football right now. It's just, enjoy it. Enjoy it. Times like this have been scarce lately, guys. I mean, we talked about everything. Connor Wigman, Terry Bussey, Will Lee, Nick Score. We've talked about it all. So I really want to give you guys the floor tonight. But I do want to go through a couple of things. But before we do that, what's up, everybody in the chat? How you doing today? I see some familiar faces in here, some of my diehard Aggies. It's good to see you guys again. Jay-Win, Drew, you spot on about Bussey. We bring him along nicely. I know we can get even more explosive. He makes good decisions. He doesn't try to do too much. I love it. Exactly. He's doing the little things, man. He's playing like a textbook player. He's playing within himself, and he's progressing week to week. And in the 6th game, in the first half of the year, he played his best game. I mean, that's got to be, first of all, a great kid. Second of all, great leadership and coaching. I mean, that goes across the board, but Bussey's a great example of that. 100%. James Ellis, I'm loving him too. I'm loving everything Mike Elko right now. I'm fully bought in. Play to win. I see you in here. I see you in the waiting room. Good to see you, my friend. Adam H., very happy for Vandy and Arkansas. Their wins helped keep us from pinging too hot on the radar. Exactly. Blessing in disguise. You know, if everything would have kind of gone status quo the rest of the evening, A&M would have been the big talking point coming out of a dull college football weekend. That's very much not the case right now. And you're going into a bye, get to disappear behind the veil of this great October 12th slate of games. And A&M can maybe slip back under the radar for their game versus Mississippi State. And, of course, they'll reemerge versus LSU. But who knows what happens with LSU? They have dates with Ole Miss and Arkansas these next 2 weekends. And Arkansas that looks pretty damn good, and that win looks more impressive than maybe initially did for A&M. That feels pretty good. They shut down that Tennessee attack, man. Marcel Reed, are you better than Nico Alamiliava? Maybe. Ben Capatillo, good to see you, man. Who else is in here? I see a couple other people in here. Asian Persuasion, what is love, baby? Baby, don't hurt me. No more. Good to see you, Jeb. Aggie, man, good to see you. Yes, sir, some Kenny Loggins in there, too. We had to pop the oldie, man. If you were here from the beginning, you know Kenny Loggins was a staple of this channel in its first year of existence. Good to see you here, Adam. John Peroni, love the hat. You like this? Yeah, so the fiance borrows my clothes. I have claimed this hat from her. It was hers. She bought it at Goodwill, but now it's mine. I work out in this hat. I sweat in this hat. It's my hat now. Thank you for the compliment. I'll tell her you said that. One game at a time, bros. Let's build momentum and sustain our momentum. Yes, absolutely. Let's get better game to game. Just because you hit this point doesn't mean you can stop building and improving and treating it like a work in progress, because it really is. Just because, I mean, we've seen it on the other end of the spectrum. I mean, Notre Dame, for example. I don't think the Notre Dame that lost in Northern Illinois is the Notre Dame you're going to see week to week. You're not one Saturday does not define a team necessarily. It's about what you do in between the games, the way you go to work, the way you treat success. Maybe they didn't treat success versus Florida the best because they kind of stumbled versus Bowling Green the next week. It's also about how you treat failure. They've treated the failure versus Notre Dame quite well, I would argue. Jay, good to see you in here. Let's get this party started. Absolutely, my friend. Thanks for being here. It's good to meet you at the game, even though it was briefly. Good to see you, man. Dylan Long, Giga Maggies. I'm almost there getting into Texas A&M. Just have to pass business calculus. Badass song to start the intro this evening. Best of luck to you, Dylan, and your endeavors. Thank you for being here. Derek Jones, good to see you, man. Shan, good to see you. Hey, cutting the gym session short for this one. Hey, you can pop the headphones on while you're working out. That's all good. You can keep working out. I don't want to stop you. Do push-ups in between the chats. Absolutely. Type push-up. Type push-up. For every like this video gets, Shan has to do an extra 2 push-ups per like. So let's get those likes up, and let's get Shan absolutely jacked and yoked and shredded. Like the video. Shan will do 2 push-ups per like. Jeb, do you think Coach Drink put the blanket in Weiss's room? Lee denies that he did. It definitely wasn't Lee. Lee's not sneaking out to hotel rooms the night before a game to plant blankets to intimidate other teams and writing it in like cursive, like these handmade cards or like these designer made cards on like this stock paper that was like textured, that it was like a wedding invitation for intimidation. Very gentle touch by Coach Drink. Very gentle. That man lotions his hands. Bruce Stover. 1, is the Aggie O-line a top 5 SEC O-line? 2, who has a better defense in the SEC than the Ags? That's a great question. Top 5 O-lines in the SEC. I think A&M's top 3 right now. Top 5. Top 5. You got Texas. You got to admit it. They have a great O-line. That was the one stabilizing force they had coming back. They lost a bunch of skill players. They had that O-line. They had Quinn Ewers, whatever. Texas's O-line's really good. LSU has to be in that discussion. They haven't ran the ball great, but they've gotten better. So I'm going to put them in there by default because they have the dudes coming back this year. I'll put Alabama and Georgia up there, and I'll put A&M in there. The top 2, and then anywhere the 3 through 5 slot, you can put A&M anywhere in that slot. But improving. Improved a lot, man. Adam Cushing's the dude. Adam Cushing's an absolute beast. Who else is in here? I kind of enjoyed the fans teasing Brady Cook a bit after the game. How about the video board showing his quote from his presser? That was beautiful. Malik Barroso. We should have had a blowout against Florida as well. A lot of secondary went in, and the vibes were high. They were letting off the gas. Yeah, it was a blowout, but they did let off the gas at the end, and it made it not look as satisfying. It was like 33-20. That game could have been like 39-7. Yeah. First time since 2020 we've had a solid O-line and D-line, 100%. Lash says, beat the hell out of the bye. Amen to that. They got to attack it. They got to attack it. We heard Elko talk about the bye week schedule, how there's 3 days of intense fall camp-like practice this week, but they're really prioritizing rest and total disconnect, mental rest. They're giving them a day. They give them a day off Sunday, I think a lift only, and then they're giving them Friday and Saturday fully off. So they're going to get a mental rest. Every time the players get to leave the program and don't have check-ins, I think the coaches hold their breath. Now, this is where what the coaches have been doing over the months really gets put to the test. Let's get no trouble in those 2 days off. Let's have no issues those 2 days off. Let's not party too hard. Because my 26-plus crowd, I think we better understand the lasting effects of a hangover now. Let's not do that. Because that shit can last you a whole week. All right. Jeb says, seriously, I've been watching YouTube videos about this game for days now. Me too, man. I can't stop. I just can't stop. I'm feasting on them. I'm making them too. And I still can't. Top 5 most valuable Ags through week 6. All right. Marcel Reed, man. He's got to be in there. Kept the season afloat. 2 losable games that he was the quarterback for. If that's all he does this year at that stage as the starter, he will have been a quintessential important and valuable piece to the team for the year. So I'm going to put Marcel Reed in there just to come in, run the offense, play good enough to win competitive SEC games, and, a stinker versus Bowling Green, able to win that one without making the big turnovers and whatnot. So I'll put Marcel Reed in there. I'll put Nick Scorton in there. I'll put Trey Zune in there. Should we put Connor Wigman in there for what he did versus Missouri? Is that game enough? Is that performance enough alone? I think more time for Connor. I'll give it to Marcel for this. Le'Veon Moss. Let's go someone else on defense. Let's go Albert Regis. Just a steady force for this defense, man. Player of the week, co-defensive lineman of the week this week. I think that was a piece on this defense that was kind of, up in the air. You were very confident about the Shamars and Scorton. You felt pretty good about Regis. But I think Regis is really making himself known right now. So I'll go with those 5 right there. Jeb just bought tickets for the LSU game. It better be a night game, man. We're going to rock those black unis. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be awesome. I hope it's a night game. We need a Kyle Field night game to stamp this thing in. That'd be awesome. Robert Gonzalez, good to see you. The difference between the mindset of our players under Sumlin and Jimbo was that our teams were always dependent upon one player hurt or injured, and our teams were doomed. But under Elko, that is not the case. Look at the O-line. They've been dropping several players, especially that center spot. They've lost Reed Adams several times throughout the year. I think Basantis has had to sit drives for like nagging injuries. And they don't really skip a beat, man. They don't really skip a beat. Same thing with Bryce Anderson. He goes down for a game. Others step up. Players are just, filling in so nicely. Everyone's well coached. It's a unit, man. They're playing for each other. They complement each other. It's awesome. Bruce Snover, awesome game Saturday. Scale of 1 to 10, how tipsy were you in your post-game pod? I wasn't that tipsy. I was more tipsy on the win. I had okay, maybe I was tipsy. I had 2.5 margaritas, and then I was drinking that whiskey. So I guess I was a solid 5 out of 10 out of 5. Jay says, the second half of the Texas schedule looks much different now than it did in preseason. Lots of great football left to play this season. Absolutely. Kentucky looks like they can sneak up on anybody any given night. They have to go to Arkansas. And guess what, guys? Florida's playing some good football under Graham Mertz right now. Big win versus a solid UCF team. They handled Auburn. And Auburn's not great, but they have talent outside of the quarterback position. I'm sorry, Peyton Thorne. I had to do it to you. Stop throwing interceptions, man. But Florida's on a little streak right now. Texas has to play all of them, and they have to come to Kyle Field. They have to enter the danger zone. So they got a lot to go, Jay. It looks a lot different for them now. And Robert's finishing his thought. Under Elko, all players are being developed, and we will probably not lose to a Mississippi State team like we did with Trevor Knight, and we lost the game and our season was over. Look, I do have like that letdown anxiety about Mississippi State early on, but I also do have that same confidence you do. We'll get into that next week, but yeah, we should be able to handle that. Brendan Ochoa, What are your thoughts on Moose's struggles this year? Kind of disappointed that he's not carrying the momentum from years past. He never really has. He's never really been able to find consistency in his career, unfortunately. And it sounds like that's coming between Monday and Friday. It's not coming on Saturday because we know he can be a weapon on Saturdays. I've noticed the last couple of games they've tried to get him involved, though, but I just think that there's some inconsistency in the preparation department. It's what it sounds like from what we've heard from these coaches and with the evidence. And at this point, it's on Moose to find it. So NFL career is kind of riding on how he closes this year out. I'm glad we played Arkansas when we did. I wish I would have played. I mean, I would like to play him with Connor now and see what that looks like because we know what Connor can do. But yeah, we got it done. I mean, A&M's good. A&M's a good team. A&M beat a solid team in Arkansas. So whenever it happened, however it happened, I look at it as a valuable win. Jeb says, we sadly need Notre Dame to keep winning so it makes our loss look better. Here's my anxiety with Notre Dame. Either they win out and we win out, or we're competing with them. Because if we're fighting for that 11-10 spot, what if we're 10-2 and Notre Dame's 10-2 and we're right there in the same area of the standings? Look, if we go to Atlanta and we lose, but Notre Dame is sitting there at 10-2 and they have the win over us, who's making it in? Because they have the head-to-head. I don't know, man. I'm kind of conflicted about Notre Dame right now. I really don't know what to make of it. I think best case scenario is they just win out and they don't even make it an issue. They're a top 6 seed or something like that. But if they lose one game, it becomes weird, man. It becomes really weird with Notre Dame. That's what I've been thinking about lately. I think Arkansas just wants to beat us so bad they just overthink it. Yeah. It gets weird. That game is strange. Who else is in here? Let's finish this chat, then we'll get into some calls. I only have one caller waiting right now, so if anyone wants to get in the call-in room, the link is pinned in the chat. Click that. You have the floor if you want it. Aggie Land 79. Yep, one game at a time. Time to heal up and get better each week with Connor having 2 more weeks running the O. Yeah, Connor's going to have these reps under his belt. Time to get healthy. Elko said this team sounds pretty healthy as far as like the week-to-week nagging stuff goes. It's like Shanahan has to get healthy, and that sounds like it's about it. But yes, overall, just good feelings, bumps and bruises. I think our bye has come at a great time, especially considering we're now vying for a season, like a postseason run, which is just crazy to say. It's crazy to say these words, but you're in that discussion. The bye week coming at the midpoint and in November comes as very valuable late season rest. You made it to the week 6 without a bunch of brutal injuries. You have the 2 long-term ones, or 3 now, but you don't have like these month-to-month injuries right now. And you have time to get healthy too on top of that. I'm really fortunate with these bye week draws with how the season's turning out right now. All right, who else is in here? LSU plays Ole Miss this week, and it's a huge game. Jay says, how disgusting were the Mizzou fans on X this past week? Puts the sugar on the top of the boat racing those scrubs. Yeah, man, there were some nasty ones. I didn't know they had that presence, so there is a level of respect for them in that regard. But a bunch of mouth breathers out there. There were some good ones that I talked to as well. Some came into this chat on the Saturday night show and said good game, which was cool. But a lot of nasty ones. A lot of name calling, a lot of unnecessary bullshit. But they can hold the L, baby. They can just hold the fat L and suck on it. Aggie Land says, let's get those likes up. Yeah, get the likes up, guys. If you could help me out by hitting the likes, that'd be great. Malik Barroso, out of all these quarterbacks, counting Hassan into the group, do you see anyone transferring? Probably. You got a lot of guys now. I could see someone deeper in transferring. I don't know who. I don't want to throw names out, but someone could transfer. Very possible in today's day and age. People just looking for opportunity. You can't really blame them with the opportunity at hand. LSU and Texas both need to be night games, 100%. I totally agree. Shan just said, literally just a great performance as a team. A win like this will bring the boys together, and I can't wait to watch it unfold. They just have to handle the win well, but I trust Elko and the staff to get that done. All right, we're officially 1-0 when we see the other before and during the game. I smell a tradition. We're officially 1-0 when we see each other at the game. I think a game-to-game fist bump might be in the works for Jay and I because we did that and we won. So it's like the rings click and then the magic happens. That's just how it goes. Live streaming this weekend. Should I live stream the October 12th games? Should I live stream Red River Rivalry? I think so. I think I got to do it. I think we go live this Saturday. I think it's too fun. We'll just be kicking back, relaxing, just watching the games, just knowing that we're 3-0 in the SEC, 5-game winning streak, watching everyone crumble around us. It'll be glorious, man. Let's live stream this weekend, huh? Let's set it in. October 12th live stream. I'm not going to do a Thursday show because there's no game to preview. Let's do it. October 12th live stream. All right, guys. Couple of things. Let's look at a couple of things before we get into the couple calls. I see Play to Win. I see Fitch waiting in the waiting room. A&M got to commit today. Let's look at him. I haven't looked at him yet. This guy, Nelson McGuire, another O-line commit. You had a great O-line class in your small 17-player class last year in Elko's first cycle, partial cycle. And you come out of this Missouri game hot with a commit, with another O-line crystal ball that we're waiting on that's supposed to happen very soon. But Nelson McGuire, big boy, 6'4", 320, interior guy, 3-star composite guy. I think he's rated 4 stars on some platforms. We'll watch a couple plays. I like to do this. Let's just see a couple things. Who's this guy? Oh. That was Arizona State's coach. I think this is an ad. Yeah. You can work on this right here. But A&M still sitting pretty at 9 in recruiting right now. Look, a top 10 class is great. Elko is still working from behind here because everyone else here who's had coaches for multiple years, Ohio State, Auburn, LSU, Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, Oregon, everyone around you has been working on these guys for years. And A&M is a top 10 class right now. And I think that's something we should be happy about. And Elko's, it's only going to get better because you have the 4 major home showcases this year. That's going to bode really well for recruiting, especially with how the season's going to end. This is the longest ad I've ever seen. I have to be looking at the ad for it to progress. Okay. Interesting. I just want to watch a couple plays. All right. And done. It's Kenny Dillingham. All right, I guess we're not going to watch the highlights. I'm not going to watch another ad. Video not found.
For extra delicious game days.
Wieners. I'm a professional. We're doing this on the fly. We're having to watch ads. This video better pop up because it says video not found right here. If not, we're just going to skip it. But hey, we got to recruit, and it feels really good to be hot right now. All right, it's Josh Pate. We're not doing it. He doesn't exist, but it's a great pickup regardless. But let's just see us remain hot on the recruiting trail. I wanted to watch a couple of plays with you guys before we get into the calls. A couple of my favorite plays from the game as we've been making a tradition on this show. This was early in the game. This is right after Connor Wigman had that beautiful drop in the bucket pass to Noah Thomas on the first drive that got called a bad play because of holding and defensive pass interference. Beautiful ball. Had a good feeling after that play. But this play, great ball to the crosser with anticipation, tight window. Look at how closely this guy's being covered. And Connor just zips the ball in there. Very catchable ball. Jabri Barber making an impact. He's only going to get more into this offense as he gets reps under his belt. Obviously, missed the beginning of the year. But you saw this team really target him early in the game. Interesting note here. What do you guys see with this defensive front once the play starts? Is there a spy? Interesting that they're spying Connor Wigman. I haven't seen many teams spy Connor Wigman in his career. This makes me think that the semantics that Coach Mike Elko took part in might have actually thrown off Missouri's game plan because they did this early in the game several times. That's a Marcel Reed look right there. Drop back in zone coverage, give a spy. This is zone or man. This is man coverage. But have a spy and just make the quarterback make a play. I think Coach Elko shoved Eli Drinkwitz in a locker this game. I mean, I really do. Just on several levels. All right, here's another play of Connor scanning the field, hitting a man in the window of zone coverage. What sets Connor apart from a more novice quarterback, and I would call Reed a novice passer at this point in his career, has great talent, has great athleticism, really poised for his age. But what makes Connor great is look at how he scans the field here. Then he sees his receiver and throws it. He doesn't zero in on a guy. He doesn't tell the zone defense where he's going with the ball. So this linebacker can't get over in time to get in the way of this pass. So he looks late, and he hits Janae Walker here on this little curl thing. That's just Connor Wigman being Connor Wigman, something this offense dearly missed. All right, this is just an effort play. I've been calling Bussy a little things guy, and this is one of those little things. Great block, but not only a great block, a great finish on the block, which is not something you often see from wide receivers. Terry Bussey, he's a thick wide receiver, isn't he? I mean, he's a smaller running back, but you'd call him a pretty big wide receiver. I think he's like up to 190, 195 now as a true freshman. But I love him finishing this block here. Also, just more of that effort to get playmakers the ball in space right here to Jabri Barber. Great play, and it was made by Bussy getting that block. Love to see stuff like that from Bussy. That's a young man getting better and better. This is just a great angle of the Ja'Day Walker contested grab. Two things about this play. First of all, I think there is a path here to a touchdown if Connor lays this ball out. Instead, he opted for a safer ball away from that safety, just not trying to risk underthrowing this and letting the safety get under it. So he just kind of throws a jump ball to Noah. But look at this move by Noah. Look at that little, like he's going to hit the out, but he cuts up field. Look at this route by not Noah, Ja'Day. Boom, boom. That's beautiful by Ja'Day. Beautiful catch. And yeah, Connor maybe had a touchdown option there, but he threw the safe ball away from the safety, so we'll take that all day. That move is so nice by Ja'Day. This receiver group is coming along, man. It really, really is. Ja'Day is really coming along too. Noah's coming along. Bussy's coming along. Barber's getting involved. This is Connor just looking comfortable, looking like himself, and being an underrated scrambler. Freestyling, as I called it. The pump fake to get the D end or the linebacker off of him, and it worked so well. Look at this guy get off his feet here. Yeah, the linebacker, was that the spy guy they were doing? Yeah, linebacker there. He just gets him out of the play, runs for a first down, needs to slide. Underrated scrambler, guys. I talked about it time and time again. He's not a fish out of water scrambling. It's like his fifth read. If there's no receiver, he's going to run. And it's not like this explosive, crazy upside runner like Reed is, and that's Reed's advantage. But he's a professional level runner, man. This is like NFL stuff. This is like an NFL runner. Just taking what's there, taking the first down if it's shown. If the defenders vacate, turn their backs to him, he's going to run. It's just his next read on his progression. Beautiful, man. It's a smart runner. I got some flack for calling this ball a ballsy ball, but if you look at it at the other angle, Bussy has a guy right on his hip, and he delivers it anyway. Credit to Bussy doing the little things again, stepping into this pass, stepping to the passer, and taking that number 12 defender out of the play. Because that guy's on a hip. If he throws that ball, first of all, not in such a great catching pocket. If he throws this ball high, outside, any bit of inaccuracy, defender can make contact with that ball. But he throws into a great pocket, and Bussy steps into this ball. Now, I think Connor did have other options here on this play. He went for the little bit of a harder option, but he got a lot of help from Bussy right here. Really like to see that. Bussy's really coming along, man. And I think this might be my last two plays right here. This is just a great ball placement and a great catch. Look at this outside hip throw by Connor. Away from the defender. Great timing on the ball. Before he turns around, the ball is out. Defender never has a chance to see it. If the defender sees it, the defender can get to this ball, but the timing of the play makes that impossible. Noah sees this ball super late, gets his body around, gets his eyes on the ball, and makes the catch. I mean, high level on both ends of this play, man. High level on both ends of this play. Loved it. Oh, yeah. Nick Scorton as your read guy. Good luck, sir. Good luck reading him. So, I mean, that looks like a quarterback pull, but I feel like Scorton's baiting that the whole way. He's also an athletic specimen and can just peel off that and get onto the quarterback. And I think this was a 3rd and 1. I think that's pretty scary stuff from these defensive ends, especially Scorton. Will Lee be in the blanket. This is a great ball. Well-placed ball, right in the breadbasket. But look at Will Lee just cover ground here and stay in this play. Let's get another angle on this one because, yeah, I provided 2 angles on this. Hell yeah. Will Lee is big, strong, athletic, fast, smart. I mean, what a weapon Will Lee is. Awesome, awesome stuff. I think that's my last one. Yep, my last one. Oh, and Le'Veon Moss, now the leader in rushing yards in the SEC. That won't last through this weekend because we're on a bye. Sampson's not. Parrish is not. I don't think Jackson's on a bye. Actually, I think Arkansas is on a bye. But these guys are going to pass him this weekend, but that'll even out later. This is a top... He might be the best running back in the SEC right now. I mean, Sampson, Jaquindon Jackson have an argument. I think these guys all do, but I think Moss is the best right now, man. I'm biased, but look at the average compared to the others. I mean, Moss is really cooking. The vision, the patience, That stuff's all really come along. All right. Gridiron says, I'll feel better about judging the season after LSU. I mean, yeah, you can't slip up at all. Wide receiver from Bama was a massive W move. Yeah, you got a lot of criticism, but look at how the receivers are developing right now. Look at them. All right, guys, we're going to get right into the calls because I see the call-in room is stacking up. Let's get right into them. Play to win. You're on with Drew. How you feeling, my friend? I said last time we talked, that next time we talked, we would feel one way or the other. And guess how we're feeling, my friend?
Oh, we're just feeling high. It's maroon and white Aggie high.
I know, man. I know it. It's feeling good. How you doing, my friend?
Pretty good, Drew. There was a guy at the club today when we played the money game and golf, and he showed up in a maroon A&M golf bag, head covers, polo, and I think it was a maroon Titleist golf cap. And I was just like, wow.
we're repping the colors, man. I mean, gosh, there's so much Aggie pride flowing right now. I mean, how can you not?
Yeah, he was sporting it, man. That was awesome, And I put in 15. I got 25 back, so I felt pretty good about it.
You made some money.
Yeah, I made some money, man, off the game, so that was nice.
Hey, you know who I made some money on? I made some money on Arkansas and Vandy. I had a little money line sprinkle parlay on those two games,
yeah.
And they hit.
Right.
Yeah,
and it happened. I was like, yeah, man.
I know. It's just a little sprinkle. I mean, just, you never know, and it panned out. So that's why you do that kind of thing.
A win's always good.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a win for you and me. So that's what a guy was telling me at the club the other day. So, well, you got money back. That's a win. I said, yeah, we won the back nine. That's what we came in even, and everybody else was over. So we won that. So
hell yeah. That's awesome, man.
So anyway, I'll go a few stats. We all know about them, and it's, some of the things that, like Connor Wigman, when he was 18 out of 22 for 276 yards, he completed 82% of his passes, which is awesome. Le'Veon Moss, it was 12 carries for 138 yards and 3 Ds. He was great. But receiving yards, Bussey was 3 receptions for 78. And he's coming around, man. He's really starting to gel. He's starting to, grow as a player. And, all these guys, I mean, it's incredible to watch the game because it was flawless, really. For the most part, the game, both sides of the ball, we were flawless. The O-line was, traps and blocks and, opening holes like right after halftime. What happened? Moss he just breaks one long, and he's gone.
I know.
And it was just, first play from scrimmage.
Yep.
And I was like, whoa. So,
that's crazy.
And a few other team stats. We were 512 total yards, no turnovers. And first downs, we were 20 to Mizzou's 13. And time of possession was 33 minutes, 13 seconds versus Mizzou's 26 minutes and 47 seconds. So we were a little over that, than what they were, but we scored. I mean, the game was over at halftime.
It was. And then stamped it in the first play coming out.
Yeah. Yeah. And after that, I mean, it's just bye.
It was done.
See ya.
It was a blowout.
Yeah. House, man. When I was just, the mercy rule.
I know at that point, man, that's when I was, I had a little bit of anxiety because of what we had just seen from Georgia, Bama. It's like we had the UCLA game 7 years ago.
Yeah.
So I had a little bit of, anxiety still, but once that play happened, once you just started the second half clicking like that and you parted the Red Sea with your offensive line, yeah, that was
it. It's like, they're going to come back on us, they're going to.
Nope.
No, they didn't score till I think it was 6 minutes left in the third quarter, and they finally scored a touchdown.
And there was a holding on that play that didn't get called.
Yeah, and that one about pass interference on us, I'm like, I don't think so. Because the ball was uncatchable, and I think that's what the referees decided on. The ball was to the right of the receiver, where if their quarterback would have thrown it right at him, that probably would have been pass interference.
Yeah, he threw it way behind him.
Yeah,
not an accurate ball, and he had to run through the defender who was in good position to make the play. So I don't know. Yeah, I could see that one going either way, but the one that kind of made me angry was the Will Lee interception. He had a hand on the jersey, but that's ticky tack, man. I mean, there's hand fighting a lot. And maybe it's because he didn't get his head around. I don't know. But that was a great play by
Well,
Willie.
the 5-yard chuck. I mean, there's going to be grab. But you got to let him go.
Yeah.
You got to let him go when the ball's coming. And there's another thing too that really irritates the hell out of me. I'll tell you right now, and I've seen with other teams, is getting in the guy's face instead of turning around looking for the ball. If he's starting to raise his hands, what do you think's happening?
Yeah, exactly.
Turn around and look for the ball. Well, you want the ball. You don't want to, an inadvertent, pass interference, because you got in his face and,
Yeah.
Turn around and look for the ball. That's what we want.
Yeah.
And that really irritates the hell out of me. Is to quit getting in his face and turn around and get the ball.
Yeah.
That's what we want, But I'm like, man, y'all got to stop that. Y'all got to start. That ain't what they taught us in football. Is look for the ball because that's what we want.
Yeah.
So go for the ball. Anyway, see, what was I going to say? Well, that's pretty much it. I mean, it was just, and that was great seeing your video, right? Your post game video.
Yeah.
Right after our win and that big shit eating grin. I was like, "Hear you, brother."
I know.
I said, Drew, I was like, "Yeah, man." And I'm gonna tell you something else. If we could all be, everybody in the chat room, you, us, me, could be together for the Texas game at Kyle Field. There's some way, by a miracle or something, that we could all be there, and then hopefully we put them to the T-SIPs are done, and we do them in, and just get together and go party like it's 1999.
Yeah, exactly. When I was 6 years old. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. We can be together. I'm thinking about streaming that game because I don't know if I want to drop $1,000 to go to it. I might stream that here. We might be able to watch it together, and we can have a little "What is love, baby, don't hurt me" dance party right here online.
Yes.
We might do that. We might have to do that. But yeah, man, I was so happy. I couldn't help but grin at the start of that video. You know what I did after that game? I sat in my seat, as I do after big wins. The last time I did this at Kyle Field was after the Florida game in 2020, where I just kind of sat in my seat and took in what I was seeing and took in the feeling of that of what just happened on that field. That was Aggie football at its best, man. That's what we are so passionate about. That's why we follow this sport through the offseason. That's why we're reading the clippings. That's why we're listening to the coaches to get the feeling that we had in that game, that feeling of winning, that feeling of unity, that feeling with the 12th man. And I just sat there when that stadium was empty. I have a picture of the empty stadium with my corny ass sitting in a chair, cheesing, watching, just looking at an empty field. And then I just walked around campus and listened to the post-game presser. I just walked around campus with my headphones on and just took it in. And then I went down, shit-eating grin, recorded the video. And that was it. That's what I did. It took me like 2 hours to get off campus.
It's just hard, that atmosphere.
Yeah.
The Yell leaders and the cadets, the band, and and them just singing our Aggie song, and it's like, man, it just sends chills, man. It just chills up my spine.
I know.
And my hair stands up on end, all over my body. I'm just like, it gets to you, man. It's like the Star Spangled Banner. It's just that, it's almost patriotic because when my great uncle, we had that conversation when he was going to A&M last time they won the national championship in '39.
Damn.
They were a prestigious military college.
Yeah.
That's when my great uncle Johnny was going there, and so I still look at it that way. The cannon, when we score, boom.
Yeah.
The big boom. It's fun to watch. Something else Coach Elko said, we were talking about coaches. You brought it up, thought about that. Where we are now, because the guy said, well, where we're at in the schedule, where are we ahead of schedule? We're this. One of the reporters, he said, well, we're 5-1, and we're 3-0 in the SEC. We're 5-1 right now, and we're where we should be, or where we're at right now is where we are. And moving forward, he's not looking ahead.
Yeah.
That we don't. We don't want to talk about, we don't. I know I did mention Texas, but, we want to talk about Mississippi State after our bye, and then let's focus on them.
Yeah.
Monday through Saturday till the game, let's focus on them. Let's talk about their offense, their defense, and how it measures up to us. But, everybody is pretty healthy on the team. Connor, to me, when I saw him, he was like another day in the office.
I know.
It's just another day at the
He
office.
was so
This is what I
calm.
do. Yeah, and he just went, and then Coach Elko saw that Thursday, and the coaching staff, they were watching him doing his reps and his, going through his progressions, and then, he finished the whole practice. He got through practice fine, and they were thinking, yeah, I think it's time to put him in. And it's been, you were right too. It was 6 weeks since the Notre Dame game. That's when it actually the AC joint injury happened. He re-aggravated it in the McNeese game.
Yeah.
And then he came on, and you were exactly right. It was 6 to 8 weeks. Those two doctors, 6 to 8 weeks, and he was ready to go. Elko liked what he saw Thursday, so they were going to put him in the game Saturday, and it worked out. And he's right where he should be. And Marcel Reed did what he was supposed to do. He was a great backup quarterback, and he did his job.
That's what's the word? It's such an important position on a team. It's essentially, to me, when you're looking at your 11-man like offensive lineup, I also have to look at who's the next quarterback in, because that's obviously such a cornerstone piece. Who's the next man? And now we know we have a Marcel Reed right there, ready to go, ready to win you a game. Maybe not the same upside as a Connor, but a very, very valuable, awesome piece to a team. But all right, Play to Win, I'm going to call it there. I have a couple of calls stacking up, man, but I appreciate the call. And yeah, man, we're going to keep partying like it's 1999.
Okay, brother.
You have a good night.
Bye.
Bye. Great call from Play to Win. Someone's asking me about my bourbon. Yeah, really good bourbon. It's Woodford Reserve. Go to. Highly recommend. Can find it anywhere. Good stuff. All right. Fitch, you're on with Drew. What's on your mind tonight, my friend? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I think the one thing I gotta say is like I really like where everything's at. Like I'm excited for this season. And I'm maybe not as educated in football in general, but what I will say is like coming into the season, I think there's a lot of unknowns with Elko and just kind of what this next season, next few seasons are going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people are getting super excited about like playoff chances and things like that. And I think all that stuff's cool. And like, hopefully that can happen, but I don't want people to get ahead of themselves and get like caught up with the hype. Cause I still think it should be good for like us as a fan base to take a step back and be like, this is kind of as good as we could have hoped this season would go this far. I mean, the Notre Dame game obviously wasn't a great way to start, but I feel like the way that we've recovered and then like made improvements going forward each week has just spoken a lot to like Elko's coaching ability and then also the staff and then kind of like the culture change that I think we're seeing with this current team.
Yeah, 100%, man. And that's really the exciting part is because you look at what Elko did in his 2 years at Duke, and he went in there and he kind of flipped the script right away. I mean, it didn't take him long to get that to a 9-win program at Duke, a really hard place to win. We saw what he did at A&M as a defensive coordinator, some of the best defenses we've seen in a long time in his time here. And now you just see the improvement. And yeah, the Missouri game was great, and that's kind of what's taken this to the next level. But it's that compounded with just the overall improvement on the year so far in such short order. It does, kind of cultivate this feeling of progression and that they're going to take steps and they're going to keep taking steps. And yeah, of course, if we're talking about playoff, we're talking about, we're doing this, we're doing that. It's obviously premature, but I will say fans will be fans. It's going to happen. It's going to seep in. I just hope the team isn't thinking like that. And I just hope that's at the forefront for the coaches. And I'm sure it is. I'm sure that's a discussion they're having every day this week. But yeah, man, I mean, it's a 12-team playoff. You have 6 games left on the year. You are battling for it, and seeding and everything like that does become important in a year like this. But it's still about the game to game. It's still about the improvement, the arc, the work.
Yeah, and kind of going back to what you were saying about like you don't want the players to be thinking about that. I think actually what kind of works in A&M's favor for that is like the Bowling Green game. I think coming off that Florida win, the players probably felt really good. They hadn't won. I mean, most of those guys I don't think ever won a road game in the time that they've been here.
That's right.
And so I think coming off that win, a lot of those guys are feeling really good. And then you go into this Bowling Green game that kind of was a sneaky game. I mean, that was a good team that maybe a lot of people thought it was going to be just a blowout.
Yeah.
And so seeing them struggle in that game, I think the team seeing themselves struggle in that game, but still come out with a win was good. Because I think kind of what the flip side of that is, like, you see with Alabama beating Georgia at home and that big win. I mean, that was awesome for them. But then I think maybe they went into that Vandy game thinking this is going to be really easy. We can just walk in here and do whatever. And it didn't end up being like that. And I think that's like, I think going forward now that we've had this big win against Missouri, we're probably, everyone's feeling really good again, kind of like after Florida. And I think, we go into this next Mississippi State game after the bye, and that should be an easy win. I mean, Mississippi State hasn't looked good at all. And that's a game that we really shouldn't even seem to struggle in. But I think if the players were to have the mentality that, we just won a big game, like what we're doing is right, we don't really have to think ahead and like keep working as hard as we have been, then I think that could cause some issues. But I'm hoping that that's not the case, because I think they've already experienced that.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point you bring up, because that's the point that I made. I don't think they handled the success of the Florida game that well. I mean, they had that performance versus Bowling Green, and I would argue that they just didn't play up to their standard that game in a lot of ways. I mean, finishing in the red zone, back seven issues, busts, tackling angles. They didn't follow that game up well at all. And we talked about how this team has gone through some early trials and tribulations, including that scenario you're talking about, including that Notre Dame game. And that stuff only pays dividends if you actually stamp in what you've learned from those moments. And you're right, this Mississippi State game is an opportunity to do so. I mean, it can't be that much different than Bowling Green, right? Like, Bowling Green is a significantly less talented team than A&M, just like Mississippi State will be. So, yeah, man, it's a great opportunity to stamp in that you've learned some lessons and to get through a manageable game and still improve through that and feel good about your product after that. So, another great point. You let on that you weren't very educated in the football world. You're making some great points here, Finch.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I know, ball. I got a little fun question for you here, Drew. Start, bench, cut, punter edition, Texas A&M. Drew Kaiser, Braden Mann, and Tyler White.
The Tyler White sample size is tiny, but it's been incredible. It's been incredible. And I love Braden Mann because I was going to school when he was here. So I'm going to bench Mann. I'm going to cut Kaiser, and I'm going to start White because I think he's insane. I think he's, like, every punt that he's had has been incredible. I mean, he has not really missed. And all the punts that he's kind of had out the back of the end zone, those were some long punts. I mean, they weren't really that detrimental. So that's what I'm going with, man. I have special connections to Braden because he was at my graduation, and, like, I feel a certain way about him. So that's my lineup right there. That's a good question.
Yeah, man. I love Braden, man. I think that's a hard one for me to bench because every time I watch him, I remember watching him at home and seeing the like 90-yard punts he would kick and
That's
just being like, blown away by that. So, but yeah, no, I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Yes, sir. That's a great call. Hope to hear back from you soon, Fitch. You have a good one. Another great call from Fitch. Yeah, man, that's a tough question, but I'm high on Tyler White, man. This is insane. Back-to-back SEC Special Teams Player of the Week. This guy could be the GOAT. There's a lot that has to happen because we saw, I think Constantino was pretty good as a freshman or a sophomore, and then he kind of fell off a cliff. Let's hope that doesn't happen, but now that you have a special teams coordinator and hopefully a better staff, that won't happen. But, yeah, man, I love it. All right. Rich, you're on with Drew. How you feeling tonight, my friend?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm feeling great, man. I'm still reveling in it, but like Fitch was saying, hope the team doesn't revel in it for too long because you got more work to do.
Yeah, you do, but you got to celebrate your victories, and I think the team understands that. I trust Elko in terms of his like game to game, making sure they bring it, which is they're gonna need it. I think this bye week is just so timely. It's good. We have we can get healthy, a couple injuries, and I'm sure there's a couple guys banged up. And, I think it sounds hard, especially you were saying, like after last week, you can't look past this Mississippi State game. But, you know, I just, with that trust I have and, you know, the leadership to make sure we bring it game to game, they're kind of giving me a reason to overlook it a little bit,
Right.
you know, ironically. But, yeah, no, I mean, it's a lot of positivity. Like, I mean, that game was you called it, you know, a difference maker. If we're sitting here 4-2, we're sitting here in familiar Aggie territory of, oh gosh, where's this season going to go? Where now it's like, hey, we actually can go where we haven't capped off where we can go. We can go to the top if we still want to.
Yeah.
And you know what worries me, the 2-game stretch that has worried me the most, even in the offseason this year, is the LSU South Carolina. I would have said maybe Auburn, Texas, but you know, after the beginning of the year, even though South Carolina hasn't looked that fantastic, Auburn's just looked Mississippi State type bad, and so I'm not as worried about that away Auburn game. I think by the time we go out to Auburn, I think there's going to be a lot of stuff that's just more in shambles with that team that I think will be in better shape than if we played them now, I guess, even though I think we did well. But the South Carolina, I think they're a dangerous team. I think they're a team that they're going to lose. They're going to not be a team that's, you know, going to be a top SEC team, but Michigan or Mississippi State and Auburn, I feel like, are teams that they don't have that capability to just beat good teams, where I feel like South Carolina can put that game together. And it's at South Carolina.
Yeah, scrappy team. You never know what they can pull off on any given Saturday. But I'll say this, their best attributes, their pass rush. And right now our pass pro is looking pretty insane. So, yeah, it's going to be scary. You can't let down. That's the big fear, right, is if you don't play to your standard and they play really well, that's kind of how a game like that would happen. And, yeah, I would still look at that one as kind of the biggest, quote-unquote, trap game of the year left coming after that LSU game. I think that's right before a bye week, too. So 100% that's the scary 1-2 punch right there. But I'm kind of with you in the confidence department, man. I'm kind of with you in Elko getting this team up for every given opportunity the rest of the year. Now, whether that means a win, we don't know yet. But, yeah, I'm starting to believe, man. It's kind of scary in a way.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? We're at the point of the season. And why that win last week was so big is, you know, you felt like in the previous years of just you get to 4-2 and you go game by game with this nervous feeling.
Yeah.
But at a 5-1 and the schedule we have left, you feel better about taking it game by game. There's a positive kind of feeling towards, all right, hey, we can heal up Mississippi State. Connor's back. And, you know, like we were talking about, even after the Florida game, I want to see Connor with that pocket. And man, he delivered. He delivered. We got him, and God forbid we got to go back to Reed. We know we're in a good situation and can win ball games. So, yeah, it's good. We're in a good spot. I think everything clicked in that Missouri game. Everything clicked. You know, some of the calls went our way. To your point, though, even their touchdown, like we could have had a holding there too. So, you know, I hear a lot of people talking about that call getting called. That, you know, the one that Hill got burned on by Burden that got called back, and you know, there's still some holes there, and this and that, and you know, at the end of the day, that's a top receiving core in the SEC, and so. You know, a penalty or not, yes, it would have added a touchdown. But look, we could have, in those types of games where it's over by halftime, there's every team, the score and everything shifts because now you're playing conservatively and the other team is playing long ball. And so you always see it when it gets to that point against a good team, early big lead. It's not like you could say, oh, we're up 24-0 at half. We're going to win 48-0. Right. You know, it's always the other team will be close to the, you know, just the dynamic and the coaching style. So, you know, yes, a couple calls here and there. At the end of the day, like those are better receivers. I think that we're going to see until we get to Texas, and that makes me feel good. I just feel good about what we're doing, where we're going, and just taking it game by game and hoping that we can go into that Texas game and make it the game of the year. That's the excitement I feel with everybody is, can that game become the biggest, that game that we all want it to be? And I think there's a very good shot.
100%. And yeah, that's a really good receiver group that did have their share of wins against the DB group. But here's the thing with that DB group. It was always going to be a work in progress. It was always going to be kind of a season-long arc for them to get where they can go, just because of the sheer amount of new pieces in that group together. And yeah, they got burned a couple times this game, and Missouri couldn't make us pay for it, largely in part to a great pass rush because, yeah, Brady Cook was great at escaping, but he wasn't maintaining accuracy in his escapes, which was helpful for the DBs. But they're going to keep getting better. Will Lee's going to keep getting better. Des Ricks is going to get a hell of a lot better. He got burned on that first play. He got, beat on that jump ball to Luther Burden. He got lost on that touchdown play to Weiss. I mean, you're going to figure out nickel. BJ Mays is going to keep coming on. So, yes, I mean, that was a great receiver group to your point, and I think by the time that they come across Texas, they're going to be even better as a DB unit. So that's super exciting, man, and let's hope we make it the game of the year, man. There's a long way to go. Right now, strangely enough, A&M and UT are the two betting favorites to win the SEC right now, which is just mind-blowingly insane for so many reasons. But that doesn't really matter if you're not winning games. It doesn't really matter if you don't keep improving and start playing your best football at the end of the year where you have your toughest tests. So, yeah, man, I agree with you. Still a long way to go. It's going to be a hell of a ride. I'm enjoying it. Any closing thoughts, man?
Yeah, no, it's going to be a hell of a ride, and I'm 100% on board. I really think they're going to get better, and I don't think there's many teams that can say that confidently, which makes me believe I think we're one of the most dangerous teams in the country right now. And I say that I don't think a team like Notre Dame would want to play us again. I really think that game would go a lot different because of the growth we've had.
Yep.
And then just, when we've been number 15 in the past few years, it's been hey, they got talent, so we're putting them at 15 and they haven't lost too many games. Where we're at a position at 15 now where you're sitting there thinking, I actually feel pretty confident with 2/3 of these teams in front of us if we went up ahead. So it's a very comfortable number 15 right now, to where I bet you we'll move up even when we beat Mississippi State, just because I still feel like we're going to show improvement. But also I think people they kind of know, like, hey, that this is a scary team.
100%.
And so we have our own destiny to keep moving up, but we're going to have to earn it next couple weeks.
Absolutely, Rich. Well, I appreciate the call, man. You have a great night.
You too.
Yeah, man. I mean, maybe chat can answer this too. I kind of feel like he does. I'm starting to feel a confidence because we knew we had the talent, but I think the big talking point right now and the big feeling we have is that we definitely have the coaching right now. It's just so evident in the improvement. I mean, look at the O-line compared to last year. Look at the secondary compared to last year. Look at just how much more impactful the D-line is consistently compared to last year. Look at the running backs compared to last year. And this has been a game-by-game improvement. So I'm going to ask the chat this. Does this kind of make you feel weird as an Aggie who had just gone through the tail end of that Jimbo era where you could never really stay too confident? It's kind of a strange feeling. It's a strange feeling to have this confidence. It's kind of nerve-wracking, right? It's kind of like, can we trust it? But you really want to trust it. It's really weird. It's really weird feeling for where we're at right now. Anyway, next caller. Shan, you're on with Drew. I appreciate you calling in, my friend. Did you get your 60 push-ups in?
Brother, I have not yet. I'm still trying to get the hang of this, and I've never called in before, and I didn't want to F it up. I don't know if Mama Drew's listening, so I'll keep my language, PG.
No, Mama Drew's good with all, shapes and varieties of language. So you're good with whatever you got to do, Shan. But man, how you feeling, man? How you feeling coming off this win? Are you confident like I'm feeling? Like I'm ready to trust this team.
I'm telling you, I think I'm feeling a little too confident, and it freaks me out.
Exactly.
Like Fitch was saying, I was a little too high. I was ripping tequila shots after every touchdown, after every damn good play, and That was a good amount of tequila rippers that day.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what I drank even more of after the game.
What's that?
It's a couple gallons of maroon Kool-Aid.
I know, man. I know. I've been guzzling
Heavy.
it. I know.
But I just loved it, man. Love seeing Wigman come back with such confidence, especially after social media and the stuff everyone was kind of saying about him. That takes a lot from a kid.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, that's what? He's like 20, 21 years old. And to hear all of that stuff, and you're coming off of that game versus Notre Dame, where him as a competitor, you know that game did not sit well with him at all. And you know, in addition to the whispers he was hearing, he was just feeling the weight of that game, both on his expectations for himself, but also knowing that he put that out there and that was his new perception, that was the new latest iteration of him, was that performance. So you know he went through hell not being able to play those games. And to come back in and look that poised, man. I mean, how were you feeling on that first drive when he went back, when he was out there and it's like, okay, it's the Connor Wigman show? I mean, what was it like to kind of see it all start to come together?
I felt like that was just him. That was the flashes that we saw, the last couple of years, the confidence, I felt really good about it. And as the game progressed, just kept getting higher, higher and higher.
Yeah. Yeah. And the crazy
and Elko being in his, Elko backing him in the presser afterwards, dropping an F-bomb. You got to love that. And as a kid too, seeing your coach kind of go to bat for you like that.
It's got to feel
confidence.
good. That's got to feel really
Confidence.
good. I know, man. And confidence is the word. I mean, he was unbothered. He was just playing his game. He was just in his bag, man. And the thing was, I mean, I don't know where you stood on the receivers before we saw this performance, but they're improving a hell of a lot, man. I feel like there are some weapons developing for this team. You have the running backs. I mean, where do these receivers go? I mean, how good can these receivers be, man? It's crazy.
I think we saw it. I think we saw it on Saturday. Connor was putting it in the right spots. They were going up and getting it. Noah Thomas is actually kind of coming alive now, so you love to see that.
I know.
All the boys.
I know. It's insane. And underrated play of the game, Theo Orstrom getting like a 3-yard out and just bulldozing like 3 defenders for 3 more yards.
Unreal.
That was awesome. It was like one play Theo had in the game, but it was badass.
Yeah.
And they're blocking.
It counted.
Well. Yeah, it counted. But yeah, man, I mean, yeah. I mean, where do you expect us to go from here? What are you kind of feeling going forward?
I'm a little too scared to even say it. I've been hurt way too many times before, like all of us. So I think the Missouri game's over with, and bye weeks kind of freak me out a little bit. But you know what? The Kool-Aid's still lingering. I'm feeling a little too good. It's a little scary.
Yeah.
But, gig 'em.
Gig 'em, man. Well, Shan, I appreciate the call. I hope there's a plenty of tequila in that Kool-Aid, and I hope you're able to keep sipping it the rest of the year, my friend. You have a great night.
You know it, brother. Thank you, man. Gig 'em.
Gig 'em. Later. Great stuff from Shan, man. Thanks for calling in. Who else is in here? Michael Dodd. We're talking about money? Let's make you some money for all the time and thought you put into creating great content. And yes, ags are starved for ag content. I appreciate that, Michael. Yeah, man. I mean, I enjoy doing it. And if money comes along, that's a byproduct. I love doing this. I love talking ball. Everyone that follows you needs to promote your site and content, which is excellent. Let's share, tell our friends, and get you to at least 5K subscribers before the TU game. Yeah, if y'all could tell one friend about this channel, that would be awesome. I want to keep growing this. These live shows have really started to go crazy. I mean, when I started doing these live shows about a year ago, we were getting like 20, 30, 15 viewers. And now we're getting like 60 a show, and it's creeping up. Appreciate you guys being here, man. I really do. And yes, Drew has too much passion. That's why Drew has a YouTube channel. Because I'll have this passion even if I'm not doing this. And I'll just be having these conversations to myself in my truck driving to work. So thank you guys for giving me an outlet to be crazy. I appreciate it, Bob. All right. Trey says, awesome content. I hear your channel on the way to work in the morning. Keep it up. Yes, sir. I will keep going. Speaking of the channel, here's a great supporter of the channel. Noble Guy, you're on with Drew. Just tell me how you're feeling, Noble.
Oh, Drew, we are so up. Chat, are we up?
We're so up, man. We're so up. Throw some love in the chat. Hit the little heart button in the chat for Noble right there. There's a little heart button at the bottom of your chat, or the smash the 100, whatever. You see that little 100 floating there? Hit that for Noble Guy right now. We are up right now. I see him. I see them hitting it. Yeah, man, we're up.
Oh man, what a freaking weekend! we had to, everyone got to see, it's that meme where like, let the boy watch. We're the only 11 a.m. game out there that anybody's going to watch. And they got to see what we did in Mizzou.
Dude, can you believe what we did? I don't remember which show I was listening to, but it was such a methodical beatdown. It was cover 3. 519 yards offensively in the game on 58 plays. That's insane efficiency. It was just an insane methodical beatdown, man. And
Cover 3 doesn't like us either.
And cover 3 doesn't like us. It was just insane, man.
Yeah, no, that was super. Yeah, and plus they had that one. I think it was Power Mizzou guy on the show earlier in the week. Who it was supposed to be an A&M Mizzou preview. It was just 1,000 different ways Mizzou was going to destroy A&M. From apparently that was a misleading title.
They thought, they thought they were going to stuff our run. No, they thought they were going to run all over us. They thought Marcel Reed wasn't going to get anything going. They thought they were going to win this game, man.
Yeah, they thought it was going to be like a 41-17 kind of game for them.
Yeah.
Then what? Like, first of all, like we gotta shout out like what the brass balls, the balls of steel Elko has to like absolutely know he has the right guy and that what he's seen in practice and for it like what we've seen before. Like I don't understand how so many people dumped on Connor so early when they saw like that he has the ability to be an elite quarterback. And I think you and I both know the fact that like elite quarterbacks don't take time to show they're elite. They show it right away. Connor showed it immediately from his freshman year. And there's growing pains, not to say that you don't have bad games. Somewhere in there, and Connor's only had one bad game, and then some. Everyone hit a dump button on him for some reason. But come back and make that kind of a statement, especially with Mizzou just talking their ish and it's unable to back it up, and then Elko stuffed him in the locker.
Yeah, dude, he absolutely stuffed him in a locker. And you talked about the balls of steel. I haven't made this point yet, and I've been meaning to make it on each of my last 3 shows. So thank you, Noble, for teeing me up right here. The balls of steel to play Connor Wigman in this game. Talk about risk reward for both Connor and Elko and this team's decision making overall. Because if you put Connor out there and you're not sure and it doesn't go well, you really risk some bad vibes around your quarterback and around your team. And they were willing to risk it because they knew what they had. So that's exactly what I tweeted before the game. I just tweeted high risk, high reward once we found out Connor was starting. And guess what? We were rewarded, man. Connor Wigman was back. He was himself. And that might have been the best Connor we've seen yet.
Oh, absolutely. And I think and I'm sure like he did everything. He was very professional in his post-game interview and handled it, like a champion. But you're as a human, you can only like handle like seeing like all the negative feedback he got on social media from like other school, like from the other team, from some of his from some of our own fans. And then, you're obviously super excited to see your teammates do well, but then to know like, hey, like, this kid is still, Marcel's great. He's still getting there though. Yeah. He's there. Like Connor is there. He had one setback and he proved that like, he's back in the saddle again. And quite frankly, we need to see this side of A&M because the way we play ball is fundamental. It's great. We're just a better version of Kentucky, and better versions of Kentucky don't have a chance against the top tier elements of college football, especially if you are talking about, playoff material. Now, I'm not saying that necessarily. I'm not saying that necessarily.
I know. It's hard not to go there right now because you have an opportunity.
Oh, yeah. I think, and what's exciting about last weekend was everything we visualized at the beginning of the season, before the season. We took a look at our schedule and recognized like this is not the toughest slate in the world at all, and we saw a path to everything we ever wanted, even in year one of Elko. And based on what we saw on the field, despite the 5-1, it wasn't exactly, or 4-1 at the time, it wasn't exactly like encouraging to like to tell us like, do we stand a chance against the Alabamas, Texases of the world? And what we saw was like I don't know how good we are yet, but our ceiling is much higher than it was a week ago.
Yeah, and I'll say this: the team that showed up versus Missouri, I think can challenge any team in the country right now. The challenge to this team is becoming that team consistently. That's the challenge right now, because the team we saw, that was not perfect, but as good as it gets, really, as far as just a top to bottom performance goes. Now, there are things to work on. Offensive line penalties. You stalled out a drive in the game in the third quarter. You did let a couple things over your head as a DB unit. But that stuff's going to improve over the course of a year. But that's stuff that sometimes you have to live with in the SEC against top opposition. So I think that team, if they can find that and figure out how they get that performance consistently, anything's possible. But that's the challenge of to this coaching staff.
If one thing's been consistent for sure, pretty much almost the entire way, is that the defense has gotten better and better and better week by week.
Yes, absolutely.
Like you're seeing, like if you're talking about like complete games, this was probably like I won't say it was 100%, probably 98%, but this is like the most complete performance we've seen so far. And like absolutely, the more I watch Elko's defense, like I kind of had an inkling before, but it's crazy how much he relies on his DBs and single coverage, because the safeties are down in the box or blitzing all the time, or they're dropping into coverage but you never know as a quarterback, which is all part of Elko's defense.
Yeah.
And he has a lot of trust in, the rotation of DBs, because it's not just one. It's like he put BJ Mays out there at nickel just a couple at the Arkansas game, and then Des Rick's a freshman. Obviously, Will Lee's balling. I still can't believe that the stealth plant Mizzou tried to do.
That's crazy.
That is a whole story of itself that got buried.
Dude, it is so goofy. Like, if you think about the whole situation, if you think Eli Drinkowitz or whichever staffer he had put that on his bed, and they did it to themselves, and he wears the blanket to the game like he's like honoring some challenge that A&M put him up to. It's like, that is so dorky, dude. That's your own coach that did that, and you're rocking that to the game, man. I mean, that makes you look so dumb. It makes you look so bad. It's not a good look.
Put his foot in his mouth multiple times.
Oh my gosh. I know.
Him and Cristobal are I put them in what I call the great value Jimbo Fishers, where they're good recruiters but can't really coach or develop. Because I put Cristobal on the same level because he has Miami has great talent, but they do everything they can to lose games and fight. And then they never pull away. A&M. This is the first time I've ever seen A&M pull away like this. Like, when was the last time you saw a dominant victory over an SEC opponent? I'm trying to think.
I really not against that level of an SEC opponent, and maybe they're not really a top 10 team, but that is a team with talent. So
yeah, the talented team.
That kind of top to bottom performance in that kind of game, I can't even remember one, man. I mean, Kenny Hill, South Carolina, maybe ish.
Yeah, maybe ish.
I don't know. Not even this good though.
Yeah, not this good. And then I would say, for all the people that were gonna, try to downplay our win and say Mizzou's just bad. I mean, two things can be true at once. Like, Mizzou could have been, a fraud, and I think they are. Still, they got a ton of talent though on that team. That being said, A&M could have won that game, but if they weren't, we couldn't have looked that good, and could have been an ugly 21 or 28 to 24 kind of game, and it would have we would have been excited about the win, but not this level. It's not just about winning, it's about the degree of we're just gonna beat your ass, belt to ass,
man. And that's the thing, man. Three things are kind of setting the perception right now, and I'm with you, man. I would have taken a 1-point ugly ass on a referee call survival win. I would have taken it, but you survived, lived to fight another day. You got a dominant win, and you continue on this extreme upward trend. So it's like these three things that are all kind of in harmony right now that leave you at this 5-1 record going into the bye week that just make you feel really, really good. And of course, it's about the next game, but the evidence is all there right now, man.
I mean, this is the kind of team that our hardest opponent now, it left obviously is Texas, and we could have scraped right through the SEC schedule, with these one possession wins, which it's hard to get a W in the SEC anywhere you go.
Yeah.
But if you're putting this kind of performance, then I mean, we can hate Texas all we want, but they're an elite team, and we showed the ability to at least in one game be elite, because we may not be an elite team, but at least in one game we were elite. And let's
Yep.
see, the course of a few more weeks if we can maintain that. And then I love the fact that like all that chaos happened around us on Saturday, because it buries the headline.
Kind of muddies the waters, yeah.
Exactly. Like I let them sleep. We got a bye week. No one's gonna pay attention when we play Mississippi State. We got to make sure we take care of our business. But then, come LSU, that's when it really gets exciting after that.
It's kind of like guerrilla warfare. Like we're coming out, we're striking, and then we're going back into the forest right now, waiting to strike again. I love it, man. It's a really good spot.
Our schedule set up so beautifully, and I said this last week when I called in. Like I'm so grateful that we played Notre Dame and a tough schedule to begin with, because Mizzou and Ole Miss played cupcakes and got exposed. Now they can still have their whole entire season in front of them, but they burned their equity from the early on, and then you just have to work that much harder to get back up. Whereas A&M, we got battle tested early, and now we got that constant chip on our shoulder, but without a conference loss.
Yeah,
both Ole Miss and Mizzou now have to deal with it with conference loss, and we control our destiny right now. We just got to keep it one game at a time. But man, it's exciting right now.
I know, man, 100%. It's all about the next game. It's how you respond to success now. It's how you handle rat poison. There are new challenges now. And yeah, I think Texas is clearly the toughest opponent left, and that's a huge challenge of a game. But every other game can get you. The biggest opponent right now, coming off that game versus Missouri, and I have to pull a corny line right now, it's going to be A&M versus A&M. It's going to be, what you can do now. You know what you're capable of. Can you recreate that? So that's we're going to find out, man. All right, Noble, that was a great call. I appreciate you, man. You have a great night, and gig 'em.
Gig 'em, everybody.
Later, Noble. All right, we got 2 more callers left, and we're going to call it a show. Let's get right into it. Benzo, you're on with Drew. How you feeling, my friend?
Oh, man, what's going on?
Not too much, man. Still reveling in it.
Well, I was going to tell you, so I was 1 point away from predicting that.
That was you?
Yeah.
This guy was 1 point off the score prediction. I saw him comment this, and then he comes back, and he's like, I was 1 point off. That's incredible, man. Hats off to you. And you weren't trolling, right? That was your prediction.
Oh, yeah.
That's incredible. That's awesome, man. Well, what were you thinking as that played out?
Well, so just looking at the history, and also, I mean, I just put out all the pretty much just Elko. He came from Ivy League. He's a smart man or whatever. And then also just all the staff that everything that potentially like all his staff that he put together.
Yeah.
And just the history of, I don't know. It was just like I just put all the information that was out there, and almost treated it like buying stocks, sort of. Like okay, I'm seeing what the market's doing, and then looking at the trend, and then okay, now essentially that's how I put it together.
So you kind of fully bought into it. Essentially, you bought into what you were seeing, and you were confident enough to buy the stock, basically.
Yeah, because then I told myself, okay, after this one with Mississippi State, I don't know if Mississippi State what Mississippi State is going to score, but I have a feeling that Texas A&M could potentially score 65 on this game. But the only thing that holds me back is if the offensive coordinator. Yeah. I've been noticing a trend on him. So he's been throttling back.
Absolutely.
And it almost seems like he's not even he's not even opening up like half his playbook.
Oh yeah.
Because I was looking at like an old Kansas State old Kansas State game, and I'm seeing way more throws than I'm seeing on the A&M games.
Yeah, I'll pull a couple stats for you. In this A&M game versus Missouri, they only threw 3 passes in the second half. That's throttling down. Same thing versus Florida. I don't know how many passes it was. It had to be 5 or less. Another stat for you: Kansas State, in their very competitive Big 12 era under Colin Klein, was known to run 20-plus play actions in most games. A&M's averaging like 7 play actions a game right now. So everything is still very close to the vest, very conservative, and we saw an offensive explosion within that. So, yes, he absolutely throttles down, and there's a lot more on the table, and they're going to install more week to week because it's still a new scheme for this program.
Yeah. So, I'm excited for that because, and one of the biggest, takeaways was the fact that he didn't let Reeves take off when he put him in. It was I want to say 9 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
And he gave him all running plays.
Yeah.
I don't think I saw him make one throw.
No, he didn't. It was just runs.
And then also, I didn't even see him do a quarterback run.
He had one. It was a bad read though. He had
Okay.
one. He had one zone read where he pulled it, but there was an extra linebacker stacked on top of the read guy, so it went nowhere. But It was one quarterback run. But yeah, very conservative overall with Reed in there and in the home stretch of that game.
Yeah, but that's exciting because when it comes to LSU, when it comes to Texas, or just in general, when it comes to a tough opponent, if we're behind, then then he can pop the seal and say, okay, let's throw these out there now.
Yeah,
because he's not even utilizing the tight ends as much. It's just it's incredible how he has the mindset, or they all have the mindset of if it's not broke, don't fix it type thing.
Yeah, and the run game has been so strong they could just lean on it, man. I mean, they can just lean on defenses with the O-line right now, which is incredible given what the last 3 years of O-line play looked like. And I mean, just a surgical quarterback performance too. Didn't have to overextend, just hit the plays that were there. So
yeah,
it was more open than we had seen before, but you feel like there's still another level to it. I totally agree with you, Benzo.
Yeah, so the exciting thing about the future and just seeing the trend of the program is just looking at Elko and his profile versus I almost see it Elko wants to have the swagger of Sumlin, but then but add his smarts and his discipline to it.
The substance,
yeah. Because he was, especially with the uniforms and stuff like that, he wants to open it up. And, he wants to – I'm excited to even see if they do, the chrome one again, because that was my favorite one with the chrome helmets.
Yeah. There was this clip that came out of the locker room, and stacked in the corner, there was – I don't want to give away too much. I don't want to give away secrets. There was another alternate colored helmet back there in this picture that leaked. I don't want to tell you guys what color, but there's a special helmet up there waiting. So expect something, guys. Expect something. If you haven't seen it, I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but something might be coming.
Yeah, because then that that brings up morale in the locker room. But then it's just crazy. I want to see a long in-depth interview with him because I want to figure out what his strategy is, what his tactics are to get these kids to mature. He's getting these kids to mature pretty fast.
Yeah.
In a system to where we went from a Jimbo where it almost felt okay, you do your thing, and as long as you're it almost felt to me as long as I'm getting paid, you do your thing. I just care more about your star ratings than than actual your performance out there. Versus Mike Elko, he's okay, you have these star ratings now. Let's push those aside and let's figure out, okay, here's where you're at right now. Let's see what we can do to develop the fundamentals and stuff like that.
100%. And I think it started when he first got here, and they instantly went into these accountability drills or lifestyles almost that they had to answer to, and they had no choice but to adjust right away. And so he wasted no time when he came in doing that. And yes, we've heard through just bits and pieces of player interviews over the weeks, over the months, that it does sound like some stuff under Jimbo was kind of brushed under the rug and people were getting away with stuff and a little bit looser of a locker room. And it sounds like that's totally in contrast to what we've seen under Elko thus far. And that was the foundation they set in the offseason. Now the week-to-week practice stuff, they're demanding that stuff on the field and in the locker room directly. And I think it's all paying dividends. And, it's just incredible how much he's done in short order.
What surprised me, just going back to the Jimbo hire was, I mean, I'm assuming there's a lot more smarter people that's part of the hiring process. But if we're looking at like I just like this summer I dove deep into like the financial education and stuff like that. So like coming from that perspective, like if you're looking at like trends and like just history and stuff like that, it was like Jimbo was trending down,
Yeah.
but they paid him like he just won the national championship.
Right.
So it was like, okay, so how are these? I just didn't understand like how they put all this information that they had, or they just ignored the information and they just believed the hype or something like that. But it's hard to put like I'm putting all this money. Like, I mean, it's not my money, but like as far as like the people in charge of the funds,
Yeah.
it's like I'm putting all this money in, but I'm supposed to believe that you're putting all this effort in. I don't know. It was weird, but so I'm just glad like the way it played out with Elko. And Elko, how he's hiring. I was super excited when they did the Tommy Moffitt thing.
Oh yeah.
And just hearing, and just hearing how. Okay, Tommy Moffitt was part of LSU when he was, all the hit, like the hit pieces on him or not hit pieces, the history pieces on him, as far as like his accomplishments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know, and it even goes back to like, just like how to. It even goes back to like biblical stuff, like you're supposed to like. Judge a tree, judge a person by its fruits and stuff like that. So if you're looking at like coordinators and stuff like that, or if you're even looking at players, it's like, okay, so how I'm sure Elko is doing that in some form of fashion or something like that. So
yeah. And you mentioned kind of buying the stock at the wrong time with Jimbo, maybe. And I think they were maybe able to milk a little bit of freshness and, excitement and success early in Jimbo's tenure. But it did kind of feel like some maybe complacency set in on the tail end. But with Elko, you bought it while it was just kind of starting to rise.
Yeah.
You bought it early. And it's just now starting to pay dividends. A lot more ways to go, but it's feeling good right now. But that goes for coaches like Colin Klein as well. Very young, up-and-coming coordinator. Adam Cushing is a 46-year-old coach. He is also kind of coming off a hot streak, kind of just coming onto the scene right now at this level. I mean, Tommy Moffitt is an older dog, I guess, but he contacted us. He wanted to get back into this. He wanted to come back in and kind of recreate what he had done before. So, yeah, man, I definitely see the point you're making there with kind of buying at a weird time. And, of course, they were just banking on him having that run still in him. He had done it so recently. I kind of get it. Kind of a lot of money. In hindsight, it was a bad move. So, yeah, man.
Yeah, I just hope they learn from their mistakes and stuff like that, because it's as far as like in the future, even with like different sports, like with soccer or even baseball and stuff like that, it's like if the organization like A&M can't learn from that big of a mistake, then like what are we doing here type thing. But one thing that is exciting for the Elko era is the fact that how he's quickly developing these young kids, and most of them are transfers. So like once he actually starts getting the kids that he actually wants to recruit, it's just going to be like a tenfold type thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's year one, man, and he's doing it kind of on the fly, and obviously just kind of. He did what he could, and it's looking good in early hours. So, anyway, Benzo, any closing thoughts? Appreciate the call, man.
Yeah, man, I'm so excited for this Texas A&M game. So I used to live in Austin, but I live in Buda now.
Nice.
But like my whole family is Texas fans. Like there's only like one other part of my family that's A&M fans. So like Thanksgiving was either really loud because they were talking trash to me, or really quiet because they were just sore losers. So yeah, I'm so excited for this game. And then also, just looking at the trends in like the games as far as what UT's doing, I feel like they're going to be in a world of hurt. Like when they meet Georgia, and then when they I feel like Arkansas is going to give them a hard time. but then I feel like we're just gonna knock the snot out of them.
Hell yeah, Benzo. That's what I like to hear, man. Well, I appreciate the call, and I hope to hear back from you in the future.
All right, thank you.
Later. Yeah, man. And here's the crazy thing, and we're getting way ahead of things, but there is a path to play Texas in back-to-back weeks to close the year out. That's all I'm saying. That's pretty crazy, man. Let's keep winning. Let's keep improving. Let's beat Mississippi State. Old Ag Bob, you're on with Drew. How you feeling, my friend?
I'm feeling really good. Can you hear me? I just want to make sure.
Yep, got you loud and clear.
All right. See, you know, I just kind of want to put this in perspective that when I went to school there, and I've been following Aggie football.
Uh-oh. Did your phone go to sleep? I lost you there, Bob. Sometimes the phone falls asleep when you put it down and you're talking to it. It's weird.
Can you hear me?
Yep, got you back.
Okay, sorry about that. I just want to put this in perspective. I've been following Aggie football for a long time. Love the Ags. My dorm doesn't even exist. They have torn it down. My engineering building has been rebuilt numerous times, and I haven't seen this much excitement since Johnny was playing back there in 2012. I mean, there's a lot of excitement here, but at the same time, we've got 6 games. We've got to be careful here. We're talking
Uh-oh. We're talking Texas is what I got, and then you cut out again. Oh, no. Are you kind of getting at we're getting ahead of things? You cut out it. We're talking Texas.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to keep clicking this thing. My cell phone goes down. But we can't talk Texas. I mean, I've seen this happen so many ups and downs and highs and lows, and I've seen under Sumlin how many times we were winning at halftime and losing games, and that was the strength and conditioning, and where we just got it. I'm telling you, Elko's job right now is to keep these guys' heads under control.
Yes.
We surprised Missouri. No one, come on, Drew, you didn't even expect Connor to play this week. No one believed he was going to play. It was total surprise. And I was texting it to all my friends when ESPN announced Wegman's playing. And if you're a DC on Missouri side, you've just prepared for a game against a very different quarterback with Marcel, who has done a great job for us. But, now Mississippi State is going to be, playing for a game where they're not going to be running as much. And yes, I think we're really, we're in a great position, but you just got to take it one game at a time. I mean, you've seen it. I mean, in the NFL, how many times, by the way, I'm watching the KC New Orleans game, and it's much better listening to you than watching that damn game. I'm going to tell you that.
Yeah, I gotcha. I know it, man.
We just have to be able to take it one step at a time. I think we have a great path, and we have great coach. What, Drew, I want to ask you this question. It's phenomenal to me how many players we have from last year that we have to this year, and they're just playing at completely different levels. I mean, it's incredible. It
is incredible. O-line is the main showcase of that dialogue. I mean, it's crazy. Several of these guys the last few years, like a Ruben Fothery, is playing kind of like how he was his freshman year as opposed to what he was showing the last couple of years. I mean, Chase Basantis has come into his own. It's really the running back group. I mean, that was a very raw, kind of a poorer vision, kind of a impatient group, and now they're playing with tremendous patience, taking what's there. I mean, receiver group is coming along. It's truly incredible. It's a great coaching job, and I think that kind of is what people are getting so excited about. I mean, they see that, and they know that's been lacking the last couple of years. So that's kind of what's seeping into this perception and giving us more of that long-term, bigger picture kind of hope right now, especially considering you're in a bye week. So, of course, that dialogue kind of comes up more right now is kind of how I'm looking at it. But in addition to that, with the Texas game, Noble brings up a good point right here. I think you're right. That's definitely getting ahead of things. But it has been 13 years since that game happened. So that was always going to be this huge kind of spectacle at the end of the year. I just hope the team's not thinking like that.
Exactly. I mean, the question is, trust me. I would watch many A&M UT games on Thanksgiving, but watching it when A&M is unranked and UT's top 5 is very different than watching what could potentially be a really good game, which is why the tickets for that game are freaking off the chart.
And it's
right?
getting worse, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's.
Hello?
I watch a lot of these things, and I love watching you. I love your passion. I love your insight. I think you got a great program here. I've texted it. You're linked to many people. I'm giving you props. I think you're upcoming. Keep it going. I love the back hat with the Woodward Reserve, which I was laughing because I was sipping a little bit when you said you were drinking the Woodward Reserve.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I just have seen, we just can't get ahead.
Yeah, man. That's the big challenge to the staff, man. It's a new challenge. You're now more of the hunted. You now have more of a target on your back. You're gonna be the opportunity for South Carolina, teams like Auburn, even LSU. I mean, you're an opportunity now.
Exactly. I mean, now it's like, and I texted this in, defensive scheme for Marcel is completely different than for Connor. I mean, and you all of a sudden, if you're the defense coordinator going, oh, heck, I won't use the cuss word. Oh, heck, we practiced all week for the wrong guy.
I mean, they were throwing spies out there against Connor. I don't think that's in the game plan for Connor Wigman.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, Elko. I mean, the what is it? The pulling the rug out from underneath Drinkowitz with that. I mean, Drink was convinced it was Reed. Yeah.
How brilliant was that? How brilliant. They knew early. Yeah, they knew he was going to start like Thursday.
Yeah.
Like, we're not. And then like 10 minutes before, oh, okay, we're going to play this guy. I mean, completely different game plan. And I think obviously that played to us. But like you just said, we have a target on our back now going, and you just can't get cocky about this. And I've seen this too many times. I'm the school. The number of undergrads at school is over 100% more than when I went to school. Okay. Right. But the passion was great. I just want to say, love your program. I continue it up. Keep it coming. You're doing a phenomenal job, and props to you.
Oh, I appreciate that, old Ag Bob. I hope to hear back from you in the future. That was a great call. You have a great night, my friend.
You too. Bye-bye.
Great call from another first-time caller. We've had a great show tonight, guys. Kudos to everybody in the chat. Kudos to everybody who's called in. Kudos to the 12th man. I mean, we're doing the damn thing. Let's keep doing it. All right, last call of the night. We have a surprise visit from Truffle Shuffle. You're on with Drew. Good to hear from you, my friend. How you doing tonight?
What's up, man? I'm excited.
Me too, man. Me too.
And I'll tell you, I'm still a little nervous. Like, just to re-echo what old Ag Bob was saying, like, the first thing is, right, take everything at face value, right? At the beginning of the season after Notre Dame, we thought we had a good defensive line, but could our defense limit the big plays? And so I'm like another step forward, being excited, but right, like some big plays were called back by penalties. But the big thing for me was Cook was just inaccurate. And so I have the fear, if we play a good quarterback and they make those throws, are we still going to hold up? But I'm excited, right? Yes. And then with the offense, for the first time since 2000, we got a good offensive line. When's the last time we could legitimately say that we can rely on a run game? We really don't need to be. I mean, we could be Michigan, you know what I mean? Like, but we've got a good. And so, but my apprehension with it is that it's one game.
Yes.
Like, is this how Connor's going to play all the time? But the biggest thing that gives me hope is the way that this season is lined up and the schedule that we have ahead of us, because I hate it. I always feel like what's gotten us in the trap early on in years past is that we get that target on our back because we jump up the polls way too quickly, right? And so now we're at 15. We get a bye. If we handle business with Mississippi State, then it's like, okay, we'll stay the same, maybe move up a spot or two depending what else happens. But then we've got the other games where if we handle business, I don't see us taking a huge jump. Maybe after LSU, but by that time, it's the game. It's bonfire. You know what I mean? Like it's the TU game. And so, anyway, that was my deal. I'm excited. But the question I wanted to ask you is that I just feel like college football right now is the best that it's ever been, and I think a lot of it has to do with the parity. And I think the main reason, and I don't hear a lot of people talking about it, is with the transfer portal, teams just don't have the depth. So all these teams are really good, until that second half. And that's the thing that gives me the biggest like optimism for the Ags, is that we have that depth. We're one of those teams that has the depth. When we get to that second half, we're putting teams away where in the past we couldn't do it because we didn't have that depth. So that's all I got, man. Keep up the great work. Love you. And just want to hear your thoughts on the parity of college football and if you think that's playing a part in it. But thanks for everything, man. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, great parity. And you're right. The transfer portal is eating away at depth. NIL opportunities at lesser, programs where, there's a slot for a depth guy at Alabama, maybe at Vandy or somewhere like that, to make a very salient example out of it. Guess where those depth guys are going? They're going to those schools. And they're kind of fleshing out and evening out the playing field. So, yeah, man, transfer portal, the 12-team playoff is making games like A&M versus Missouri even that much more interesting. And we've been, hemming and hawing about all this reformation. But the product we're getting this year is sensational. I mean, I just got chills. I just got chills thinking about it. Like this last Saturday. I don't know if you get that in another era of football. Maybe 07. But you're absolutely right, man. The depth is leaving those big schools, and it's permeating the rosters across the board. And teams like Vandy, teams like Arkansas. Arkansas's O-line was built through the transfer portal. It's not a great O-line, but last year, it was a terrible O-line. And they have righted the ship, at least to some margin. At least it's a serviceable unit now. And they went out there and beat Tennessee with it. Oh, and their defense is solid. I mean, yeah. That portal, the NIL opportunities, the opportunities to go play somewhere where you can be a top dog, that's making the little man a lot more talented. And you're right, A&M does have depth everywhere. Where it doesn't have A&M to have depth? I mean, I think you feel pretty bad if Le'Veon Moss goes down, but Amari Daniels has done some good stuff. You just have 3 guys there, so I think running back is the one area you really don't have depth. O-line, we've seen the depth in action. Defensive line, you're at least 2 waves strong there. Now, if you get deeper past that, you're kind of scary. You don't want to lose a Scorton. That would be, that guy's just so good. But you do have depth there. Back 7, you have a ton of depth. Receivers, decent depth. You wouldn't want to lose Noah, but yeah, man. And a great example of what A&M can do late in games is exactly what happened versus Missouri. Missouri had like 6 snaps at A&M's 4-yard line and closer. And they couldn't score a touchdown. And that was a game that was decided. That was a game where A&M could have just mailed it in and be like, okay, score, whatever, we'll go take a knee. No. A&M had that late game push and that late game passion in a game that they had already had largely decided. Great questions, man. I appreciate it. Let's check in with the chat one more time before we call it a show. Noble, was this the best call-in show yet? I mean, it only makes sense to have it after the Missouri game, after what we just saw. It only makes sense for this show to be the one. Yes, Jay, the field goal that Missouri kicked covered the 48.5. Bad beat, man. Bad vibes. Matthew, you owe Noble Guys some coffee. I will now arbitrate this transaction. Get the man his coffee. Sad we lost Chappelle and Ruben for the year. Yeah, imagine where we could be with those two. Huge positions right there. I mean, Ruben as like the explosive guy, but you're finding stuff now. And Chappelle and the nickel. TX427, thanks for being here, man. Hope you see this on the replay. I appreciate you always being here. I give us the pass to talk to Texas. It's been 13 years building up. Doesn't mean you get to look past, but it's something to build up to, 100%. Strength and conditioning is working. Absolutely it is. This is not the same A&M for the Big 12 days. Nope. Beat the hell out of Rat Poison. Absolutely, Lash. Based off this weekend, I love that we have a defensive head coach. Defense will travel and remain consistent. Offensive head coaches like DeBoer and Heupel can falter, especially on the road. You have a great defense, solid, sound defense. Got to still progress in that back 7, kind of what Shuffle was saying. Cook was inaccurate at times. He was under pressure. He was throwing on the run. Had some great zip on those balls, but wasn't able to dial those in. So credit to the D-line and the rushers getting after him. But there were opportunities there. But I'll keep saying, that back 7 is such a new unit together. That's one of the groups on this team that has a lot of room for week-to-week improvement. Maybe the most on the team. We made Cook inaccurate. Yeah, that's what I just said. Yeah. Spiller or Moss? Can I go recency bias here? I don't know. That's tough. I really like Spiller. Reason why Nick Saban retired? Yeah. The whole transfer stuff. Luis Gigam Drew, you're killing it. Thanks, man. I'm going to keep going. We're going to do a live stream for the bye week Saturday, I'm definitely going to stream the noon and probably the 2 o'clock games. So tune in for that, guys. We'll be here. It'll be a beer stream. I'll be having or whiskey stream. We'll be having some fun in this stream. So make sure you guys stop by. Crack a cold one with me. We'll have a good time this Saturday. I won't go live until then. No Thursday show this week, but we'll do one Saturday instead. Is Cook inaccurate because of the O-line or D-line or just a bad game? Is a little bit of both. I think he's been inaccurate all year, but he was throwing on the run, man. He was throwing on the run. He was not really able to throw when he was set in the game. So maybe a better quarterback does make those, to your point, Truffle Shuffle. But he was running. And that was a really good receiver group. They were open a lot this game. They had moments because that's one of the best receiver cores in the country. It really is. Even with their struggles on the year. Lash says, sounds good. I usually have too much blood in my alcohol stream. I got you, man. Well, all right, guys. I'm going to get out of here. Great show. Let's beat the hell